Our story today is called Birds, Winged and Feathered Animals, and it's written by Susan Slade, and it's illustrated by Kristen Kest. So in our lesson, good readers are going to hear and discuss part of a nonfiction book. We're going to explore text features in the book, and we're going to wonder about the topic. So last week we listened to a book about an animal that lived on the land. Today we're going to hear about animals that live all over the world and can walk on land, swim in the sea, and fly through the air. We're going to read a story about birds. What do you think you already know about birds? The page that you're looking at is called the Table of Contents, and we have the Table of Contents in nonfiction books. And the Table of Contents lists the different chapters in the book, and it has the page on which chapter begins on. So remember that the title of the chapter usually gives a reader a clue about what kind of information will be in the chapter. So we have a world full of animals, that's found on page 4, feathers and wings, found on page 6, bones and blood, found on page 8, beginning as an egg, found on page 10, home sweet home, on page 12, perching and water birds, page 14, hungry birds, page 16, flightless birds on page 18, strange birds on page 20, and we have the scientific classification chart on page 22, extreme birds on page 23. We have the glossary that we can find on page 23 as well. And there's a section to learn more and the index, which are both found on page 24. So after hearing about the chapter titles, what are some things that you are wondering about the birds? So some things that I wonder are, I wonder if all birds come from eggs. I wonder if all birds can fly. I wonder what makes some birds strange. So pause the video and practice a couple of I wonder statements that you have about the book that we're going to read. A world full of animals. Millions of animals live on our planet. Scientists classify animals or group them together by looking at how the animals are alike or different. Scientists have found about 10,000 different kinds of birds in the world. All birds have certain things in common: feathers and wings, a backbone, lightweight bones, and lightweight bones means not heavy, and a 4-chambered heart. They are warm-blooded and they hatch from eggs. 6 of the more familiar main groups of animals living on Earth are mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and insects. Let's take a closer look at birds. Feathers and wings. All birds have feathers and wings. Feathers protect birds' skin from the sun and keep birds warm during winter. Feathers are also lightweight and help birds fly. Most birds have strong wings and can fly fast and far. Many travel hundreds of miles each year when they migrate, and migrate means to travel. Many travel hundreds of miles each year when they migrate to new places. And this is showing you a picture of the ring-necked ducks. So I want you to take a moment and think about what are some ways feathers help birds. You can turn to your partner or you can say it out loud. What are some ways feathers help birds? Birds preen or clean their feathers often. They use their hard beaks to comb their feathers. And this is showing you a picture of mallard ducks on page 7. Bones and blood. Every bird has a skeleton made of a backbone and other small bones inside its body. Animals with backbones are called vertebrates. Many birds have spaces of air in them. These light bones allow birds to fly better. Birds have hearts with 4 chambers, or large spaces. They are also warm-blooded animals. That means their body temperature almost always stays the same. As they soar through the sky, birds breathe in a gas called oxygen with their lungs. Like people, birds need oxygen to live, and they're showing you a picture of an Arctic tern. Beginning as an egg. A bird's life begins inside an egg covered with a hard shell. Most female birds lay their eggs and nest. A parent bird often sits on the eggs to keep them safe and warm until the young birds hatch. Parent birds bring food to their young until the young are old enough to leave the nest. Birds can fly a few weeks after hatching. And the birds that they're showing in the illustration are called barn swallows. Most birds build their nests out of sticks, feathers, and grasses, but some do not. A small bird called a swallow uses mud and feathers to make its nest. So I have 2 questions that I would like you to think about, and you can answer them either writing them down, or you can use the turn and talk strategy, however you feel like answering these questions. So the 2 questions are, what did you learn about birds that surprised you? And what are you wondering about birds? So I'm going to read those again. What did you learn about birds that surprised you? What are you wondering about birds still? So we have 2 questions that we would like you to think about and answer. Your first question is, what did you learn about birds that surprised you? The second question, what are you wondering about birds? So you can respond to these questions either writing down your responses, you can use the turn and talk strategy with someone that you are near, or you can record your response on Class Dojo and your teacher can listen to it. I'm going to say those 2 questions one last time. What did you learn about birds that surprised you? What are you wondering about birds? And we're going to finish the rest of the story tomorrow.